Hey, you tired of your crew showing up late to the sit-down? Your capos arguing over who gets the last cannoli? Your espresso machine going missing more than your accountant? Then come on down to Tony's Trattoria and Conflict Resolution Center, where we settle beefs and serve it medium rare. Here we don't whack nobody, we feed them till they confess. Get the Omerta combo, a slice, a soda, and one guilt trip from your Aunt Maria, all for $9.99. You got problems? We got solutions. Missing espresso machine? Boom. Found it. Snitching your crew? Boom. Retired him with a coupon to Olive Garden. Want to move some product? We don't ask what. We just charge storage. Nicky the Nose. Hey Vin, you taking coupons? Yeah, if it's cash. Order today and I'll personally threaten you in the parking lot free of charge. That's right. We're family owned, family run, and family argued. Tony's Trattoria, where loyalty's on the menu and betrayal's extra. So come on down, tell him Vinny sent you, and maybe, just maybe, we'll forget about that thing you said in '09. Tony's Trattoria, home of the sit-down special. Open late, cash only, no witnesses. Tony's Trattoria is not responsible for broken noses, missing espresso machines, or unpaid debts. Offer void if you snitch.
Dorothy Dandridge, Hollywood, Vegas, and the silence that followed. A Pizzaverse Studios documentary. A Palermo Productions original. Written by Bambi Palermo. Narrated by Vincent DiPrio. The woman they wanted to watch, not protect. Dorothy Dandridge was the first black actress ever nominated for the Academy Award for Best Actress. She was radiant. She was magnetic. She was one of the most breathtaking women America had ever seen. For one shining moment, the whole country looked at her and believed they were witnessing progress. They believed Hollywood had finally cracked open the color barrier. They believed talent had finally conquered bigotry. They believed Dorothy Dandridge was the beginning of something new. But they were watching an illusion. Because behind the glamour, behind the applause, behind the Oscar nomination, and the magazine covers, Dorothy Dandridge's life was not a triumph. It was a slow and brutal destruction. Hollywood abandoned her. Las Vegas exploited her. Organized crime fed off her beauty, her fame, and her desperation. And when she had nothing left but the truth, silence closed in around her like a lid on a coffin. On September 8, 1965, Dorothy Dandridge was found dead on the floor of her West Hollywood apartment. The official story moved fast, too fast. One explanation, then another. A strange accident, then an overdose. Then the file was closed, tied up neat with a bureaucratic bow. But the deeper story was never neat. Because Dorothy Dandridge was not just undone by one man or one bad night. She was devoured by a machine built from Hollywood racism, Las Vegas segregation, financial exploitation, mob power, and institutional indifference. Tonight, we're not just talking about how Dorothy Dandridge died. We're talking about who profited while she was being destroyed. We're talking about the lie of fame, the cost of survival, and the silence that followed. The illusion of revolution. In 1954, Dorothy Dandridge stood at the absolute pinnacle of global culture. She had starred in Carmen Jones. She had made history. She became the first black woman ever nominated for the Academy Award for Best Actress. She wore the gown. She smiled for the cameras. She sat in the front row, breathing the same air as Grace Kelly and Judy Garland. To the public, it looked like a breakthrough. It looked like America was changing. But Hollywood did not want a revolution. Hollywood wanted a spectacle. The industry was willing to celebrate Dorothy as a novelty, as a glamorous exception, as a symbol they could point to when it suited them. What they were not willing to do was build a real future around her. They did not intend to cast a black leading lady opposite white romantic leads. They did not intend to challenge segregated Southern box offices. They did not intend to let a black actress occupy the same protected space as white stars. So after the applause faded, the doors closed. The scripts stopped coming. The offers that remained were insulting. Slave roles, maid roles, domestic roles, the same old garbage in a different envelope. Dorothy refused them. She had already shown the world what she could do. She had played a queen. She was not going to reduce herself to make studio executives comfortable. That refusal cost her. Because in Hollywood, especially then, dignity had a price tag. Dorothy Dandridge was suddenly a superstar without movies. She was beautiful, famous, celebrated, and unemployed. The machine had let her taste history, then yanked the tablecloth out from under her. Hollywood had locked the front door. So she went looking for a back one. And that road led straight into the Nevada desert. The desert machine. In the 1950s, Las Vegas was not the polished corporate amusement park people know now. It was a vice empire, a cash machine, a kingdom of neon and corruption controlled by organized crime. The Chicago outfit, the New York families, the Cleveland syndicate. These weren't just street punks with pistols in their waistbands. These were polished criminals in expensive suits, men who understood ledgers, leverage, and public image, men who could talk like businessmen in the daylight and ruin lives in the dark. To those men, Dorothy Dandridge was priceless. Not as a person. Not as an artist. As an asset. She was booked into the biggest rooms. Her name was splashed across giant neon marquees. She brought in wealthy white gamblers by the droves. They paid for the best tables. They bought the drinks. They stared at her on stage like she was some divine thing dropped out of the heavens. But the second the curtain fell, truth came crawling back in. Las Vegas was deeply segregated. Jim Crow wasn't some southern ghost kept out of sight. Guest. It was built right into the bones of the city. Dorothy could sing for white audiences, but she could not live like them. She could perform in the hotels, but she could not walk through the front doors like a guest. She could not use the main elevators. She could not eat freely in the restaurants. She could not sit at the bar. Every night, after dazzling crowds in custom gowns, she was forced into the back corridors, through concrete service hallways, past hot kitchens, dishwashers, grease, trash, and labor, through freight elevators hidden away like contraband. It was a daily ritual of degradation. The message was brutal and crystal clear. You can make us rich, but don't ever confuse that with belonging. And then came the pool. At the last Frontier Hotel, Dorothy walked to the edge of the swimming pool in the desert heat. She didn't even intend to swim. She just wanted relief. She sat down, slipped off her sandals, lowered her foot, let her toe touch the water. Panic. White guests stared like the world was ending. Management rushed in, and instead of asking her politely to leave or pretending it was a misunderstanding, they made their point in the most humiliating way possible. They ordered the entire pool drained. Every gallon. Dorothy sat there and watched them do it. Watch the water disappear. Watch them scrub the concrete. Watch them bleach the spot her skin had touched as if she carried a disease. That wasn't just racism. That was theater. A public ritual of domination. A demonstration of power. The hotel was willing to lose money just to make sure she knew her fame meant nothing against the racial order of the desert. And the mob bosses saw it. They saw the humiliation. They saw the isolation. They saw the anger, the loneliness, the need for safety. And like sharks catching blood in the water, they moved in. The gilded cage. The underworld did not approach Dorothy the way the hotel managers did. They approached her with softness, with respect, with luxury. They bypassed rules. They arranged private suites, delivered meals directly to her room, sent chauffeurs, opened private doors that the public Jim Crow order said should stay shut. They made her feel protected, special, chosen. But nothing in the mob world is free. Every favor is a debt. Every luxury is a leash. What looked like rescue was ownership. They built her a bubble, a queen's chamber inside a kingdom of wolves. Inside that bubble, Dorothy was treated like royalty. Outside it, she remained trapped in a city that only valued her as a profitable spectacle. The contrast was not accidental. It was part of the trap. They weaponized comfort, made the outside world crueler so their protection looked like salvation. And soon her value to them expanded far beyond the stage. Dorothy Dandridge became the glittering centerpiece of private parties, attended by politicians, judges, industrialists, and other powerful men. Her beauty elevated the room. Her fame impressed the guests. Her presence disarmed people. Made them feel special, distracted them while money moved, while arrangements were made, while power was traded in quiet corners. She was no longer just the star attraction. She was part of the operating system. A living status symbol, a lure, a glamorous distraction used to keep eyes off the real business. And Dorothy understood that. She was not stupid. She knew she was being used. But she also knew the alternative: unemployment, humiliation, isolation, and the slow death of a career already under siege. So she made a bargain. She smiled. She performed. She accepted the suite, the ride, the champagne, the illusion of protection. She believed she could move through the shark tank without letting them bite all the way through. But the mob doesn't just want your time. It wants your dependence. And when Dorothy still showed signs of autonomy, they found a cleaner, quieter way to break her. Not with a gun. With a husband. The wedding ring. The underworld didn't need a body in an alley. That kind of mess attracted cops, headlines, heat. No, the smarter move was financial destruction, emotional captivity, legal-looking ruin. Enter Jack Dennison. He was polished, charming, well-dressed, a man who looked like stability wrapped in a tailored suit. But underneath the surface, he was a hustler drowning in debt, a man orbiting the Las Vegas underworld, surviving by clinging to bigger predators. He ran a supper club. It was failing. He owed money to dangerous men. And Dorothy Dandridge, exhausted, isolated, financially pressured, and emotionally worn thin, looked like salvation. By the late 1950s, she was carrying too much. Hollywood had shut her out. Vegas had turned survival into ritual humiliation. She was supporting a daughter with severe brain damage who required expensive, round-the-clock care. She was lonely. She was tired. She wanted something stable, something respectable, a partner, a home, a shield. Dennison studied that need and stepped right into it. He offered partnership, promised legitimacy, sold her the dream of a quiet, secure future, away from the road and the service elevators and the back hallways. He painted a picture of domestic peace and shared success. He told her she would not just survive, she would rule beside him. It was bullshit. In 1959, Dorothy married Jack Dennison, thinking she was building a fortress. In reality, she was signing the papers for her own collapse. Almost immediately, the money started bleeding out. Her savings, her investments, her reserves, all of it began vanishing into his failing business ventures and gambling debts. The supper club he sold as a promising empire was a financial sinkhole. He demanded money, more money, always more. He manipulated her with fear. He told her the club was their future. He told her failure would humiliate them both. He made his incompetence her responsibility. His debts became her crisis. His lies became her burden. Dorothy had built a fortune through years of brutal labor and discipline. Around $150,000 for a black woman in America in the late 1950s. That was enormous. That was security. That was survival. That was freedom. Dennison drained it. He bled her accounts dry, liquidated investments, used her name to secure credit, covered gambling debts, paid off suppliers, paid off underworld obligations. Every dollar she had earned through brilliance and endurance disappeared into the black hole of his failures. And then came the real humiliation. He forced her to perform nightly at his failing club for free. The woman who had electrified audiences and made Oscar history was now singing in a dying room to keep a scam afloat. That's the kind of cruelty that don't leave bruises, but it breaks bones all the same. The ruin. By the time Dorothy understood the full scale of the trap, it was too late. Dennison's charm turned into abuse. He belittled her, isolated her, told her nobody wanted her anymore, told her beauty was fading, told her career was over, told her no one else would ever save her. It was psychological warfare. He became the gatekeeper to her life, her money, her friendships, her choices, and every time she resisted, the pressure intensified. Then the money was gone. Every bit of it. The fortune she had built through talent, discipline, and sacrifice was swallowed whole by a fraud in a suit and the men waiting behind him. When there was nothing left to squeeze from her, Dennison vanished, walked out, disappeared, left her holding the debt, the wreckage, and the lies. And that's where the machine really showed its face. In a normal world, a divorced woman is not liable for the criminal debts of an ex-husband. But Dorothy Dandridge was no longer in a normal world. She was in the world of mob ledgers. And mob ledgers don't care about divorce decrees, legal ethics, or fairness. Money was owed. Dennison was gone. So the debt landed on Dorothy. Suddenly, she wasn't just broke. She was surrounded, owed money to organized crime, owed money to the IRS because taxes had gone unpaid, faced continuing medical costs for her daughter's care. She was cornered from every direction. The mob offered her a way out. Work. Their way. On their terms. Now the nature of her career changed completely. She was no longer a star negotiating from power. She was a hostage paying off a ransom she never agreed to. They sent her on the road, put her in second-rate clubs and run-down venues, far from the glamour of the Vegas Strip. No dazzling marquees, no elite crowds, just smoke-filled rooms, sticky floors, cheap lighting, and indifferent audiences who wanted to gawk at a fallen star. She traveled from town to town, motel to motel, paycheck to paycheck, with most of the money intercepted before it ever touched her hands. Club owners took their cut, handlers took theirs. The syndicate serviced the debt. Dorothy got enough to stay alive and drive to the next gig. That ain't stardom. That's indenture. She was working herself into the ground while the machine fed on the remains. Hollywood closes the gate. Dorothy tried to fight her way back. She reached for acting again, swallowed pride, asked for auditions, supporting roles, television appearances, anything legitimate, anything that could pull her out of the trap and put cash in her hands that wasn't already spoken for by criminals and creditors. Hollywood said no. Not because she lacked talent, not because she had somehow become less compelling, but because the industry had made a decision. Dorothy Dandridge was now a liability. She was older, yes, but not old. She was in her early 40s. What had really changed was that her pain was visible. Her finances were a mess. Her private life was public. Rumors swirled. Trouble followed her name. And Hollywood, which had once basked in the prestige of nominating her, now wanted clean hands and quiet rooms. The same industry that had celebrated her as progress abandoned her when helping her might cost them something. That's the dirty little secret, see? Hollywood and the underworld weren't always enemies. Sometimes they worked in parallel. One shut the gate, the other stepped in to collect. By denying Dorothy a legitimate comeback, the studios helped trap her in the debt cycle. They made sure she had no clean exit, no safe harbor, no second act. The machine had synchronized, and Dorothy was trapped in the gears. Pills, pressure, and the edge. To survive the pain, Dorothy turned to medication. Pills for anxiety. Pills for depression. Pills to sleep. Pills to wake up. Pills to keep a collapsing body moving under impossible pressure. Doctors prescribed. The industry shrugged. The mob didn't care as long as she could stand upright, sing on command, and keep drawing money. A medicated asset is a manageable asset. So the road continued. The cheap rooms blurred together. The crowds became one long hostile stare. The debt never shrank. The exhaustion deepened. Her health worsened. Her voice frayed. Her body thinned. The sparkle that had once lit up screens and stages hollowed out under strain. This is what ruin looks like when it's profitable. Not one sudden explosion. 1,000 small extractions. By the early 1960s, Dorothy Dandridge was no longer living. She was enduring, barely, waiting for the machine to finish what it had started. The last thing they couldn't take. By 1965, Dorothy was living in a small apartment on Fountain Avenue in West Hollywood. Not in luxury, not in triumph, in survival mode, bankrupt, broken, nearly erased. The IRS had seized what the underworld hadn't. Her assets were gone. Her finances were obliterated. And then came the deepest wound of all, her daughter. Dorothy's daughter required round-the-clock institutional care. For years, Dorothy had endured humiliation, exploitation, and extortion, in part to keep that care paid for. But when the money ran out, the care collapsed. The private institution discharged her daughter. The state took over. The child was sent into a public mental institution. That broke something final inside Dorothy Dandridge. Because now the machine hadn't just taken her career and her money. It had taken the one person she had been fighting for. And that changed the equation. A compliant victim has something left to lose. A woman stripped of everything has something else. The truth. Dorothy began writing. Notes, dictation, drafts, the beginnings of a memoir. She wanted to tell the story, the real one, the racism, the humiliation, the exploitation, the financial destruction, the system that fed on her and called it business. Now, whether that memoir contained some smoking gun confession or not, almost doesn't matter. What matters is that Dorothy was prepared to speak openly, publicly, and angrily about the machine that had destroyed her. That made her dangerous. Not because she held a pistol, because she held a pen. And to powerful men, sometimes that's worse. September 8th, 1965. On the morning of September 8th, 1965, Dorothy Dandridge was found dead in her apartment. Her manager, Earl Mills, arrived for a scheduled meeting. She was supposed to discuss a possible comeback opportunity in New York. He knocked. No answer. Knocked again. Still nothing. Eventually, he forced the door open. Inside, Dorothy was dead on the bathroom floor. She was 42 years old. And right there, the machinery of silence kicked in one last time. The police did not treat it like the suspicious death of a major cultural figure. They treated it like a routine nuisance, a washed-up actress, a broke woman, another sad Hollywood ending. No urgency, no real hunger, no sense that maybe this deserved more than a shrug and a form. Then came the official explanation. First, a fat embolism linked to a tiny fracture in her foot. That story was absurd on its face, too absurd, too convenient, too flimsy to stand. So later, the explanation changed. Now it was acute drug intoxication, an overdose of antidepressants, maybe accidental, maybe suicide. Two completely different official stories, two incompatible causes, and no meaningful explanation for the contradiction. That alone should have blown the doors off the case. But it didn't. Because the point wasn't clarity. The point was closure. Fast closure, convenient closure, paperwork closure. And that's the part that stinks the worst. Not just that the story changed, but that nobody in authority seemed to care that it changed. No serious digging. No deep investigation into who had seen her recently. No real public unraveling of the pressures surrounding her life. Just a body, a report, a revision, and silence. That's how the system protects itself. Not always with bullets. Sometimes with indifference. The perfect crime. People love simple murder stories. A poison slipped into a drink. A hitman in the shadows. A clean villain. A clean motive. A clean ending. But the truth is uglier than that. The destruction of Dorothy Dandridge may not have required one dramatic act of violence. The greater crime was systemic, prolonged, coordinated by greed and sustained by silence. Hollywood profited from her image and abandoned her when she needed protection. Las Vegas profited from her talent and trapped her in a world of humiliation and dependence. Her husband stripped her finances and left her buried in consequences. The state took her child. The press reduced her. The authorities papered over the mess. So whether Dorothy Dandridge died by her own hand, by negligence, by manipulation, or by something darker, the larger truth remains the same. She was pushed to that edge. That edge was built for her. And when she finally went over it, every institution that mattered was ready to look the other way. That is the real crime. A perfect crime in plain sight. No trigger had to be pulled. The machine did the work. The legacy they couldn't bury. After her death, the machine kept moving. The papers sanitized her story. Hollywood kept its distance. The men who had profited stayed silent. Her funeral was small, underfunded, painfully modest for a woman who had made millions for other people. The glamour was gone. The money was gone. The powerful friends were gone. But history has a funny way of circling back. For decades, Dorothy Dandridge was minimized, reduced to a tragedy, a cautionary tale, a sad headline. But time began to correct what power had tried to erase. Her legacy grew. And in 2002, when Halle Berry won the Academy Award for Best Actress, becoming the first black woman to do so, she invoked Dorothy Dandridge. That moment didn't fix the past. It didn't punish the men who fed off her. It didn't reopen the case or restore what had been stolen. But it did say one thing loud and clear. Dorothy Dandridge mattered. She had opened a door that the world tried like hell to slam shut. She had fought a war with grace, pride, beauty, brilliance, and almost no real protection. And even though the machine crushed her body, it could not erase what she represented. That's why her story still hurts. Because it isn't just about one woman. It's about what America does to people it wants to admire from a distance but never truly free. Dorothy Dandridge was not weak. She was not just another tragic Hollywood cautionary tale. She was not some fragile woman who simply couldn't handle fame. That version of the story is the lie powerful people tell when they want to erase their fingerprints. The truth is harder. Dorothy Dandridge was brilliant. She was proud. She was revolutionary. And she was forced to fight through racism, humiliation, financial predation, mob exploitation, and institutional abandonment in an America that loved to consume black talent while denying black humanity. They wanted her beauty. They wanted her voice. They wanted her glamour. They wanted her power when it made them money. But they never wanted to protect her. And when she tried to hold on to dignity, when she tried to survive, when she tried to reclaim her own story, the walls closed in. That is why Dorothy Dandridge still matters. Because what happened to her was not just personal tragedy, it was systemic violence dressed up as business. It was exploitation hidden behind applause. It was cruelty buried under paperwork. It was a world full of powerful men making money while pretending they had nothing to do with the body on the floor when it was over. And maybe that's the ugliest part of all. The silence. Because silence is what let them keep their reputations. Silence is what let the file close. Silence is what turned Dorothy Dandridge from a woman into a cautionary myth. But silence ain't truth. And tonight, her name gets to stand taller than the men who tried to outlast her. This has been Dorothy Dandridge, Hollywood, Vegas, and the silence that followed. A story about race, fame, organized crime, exploitation, and the machinery that destroys people while pretending it had nothing to do with it. If you made it to the end, thank you for watching. If this story moved you, hit the like button, subscribe, and drop your thoughts in the comments. Because these stories matter. The buried ones, the ugly ones, the ones the official version tries to tidy up and shove in a drawer. Around here, we don't do that. We name the system. We follow the money. We look at who profited. And we say the quiet part out loud. This is Pizzaverse Studios. This is Palermo Productions. Written by Bambi Palermo. Narrated by Vincent DiPrio. And we're gonna keep telling the stories they hoped would stay buried. See you in the next one. Tired of your glamour ratting you out to the feds? Sick of your capo sweating you over that missing envelope? Or maybe you just need to sleep through a sit-down like it's a spa day in Sicily. Introducing Gonezzo, the only sleeping pill approved by 3 out of 5 mob doctors and 1 very tired consigliere. 1 pill and bam, like you got hit with a blackjack behind Rocco's. But you wake up fresh, no bruises, no wiretaps, and no regrets. Real customer testimony. I took Gonezzo before my arraignment. Woke up in Tijuana with a new name and a suitcase full of counterfeit 20s, 5 stars. Gino the Fork Abatacola. Now with our patented forget-about-it formula, Gonezzo erases shame, guilt, and 3 to 5 hours of your last regrettable night at the Velvet Lounge. Warning, side effects may include sudden urges to flee the country, thinking you're bulletproof, marrying your Gumar's cousin during a blackout in Atlantic City. Ask your bookie if Gonezzo is right for you, or don't. He's probably already on it. Gonezzo, sleep like you ain't got priors.
Give me groceries and booze. Give me FaceTime with my friends. Give me intravenous news. Little drips of CNN. Give me meditation apps. Text me pictures of your dog. Just give me life. Give me peace. Give me noise. Someone give me fucking zen. Someone give me fucking zen.
Space, at least 6 feet. Dig my grave, just as deep. I got sex on my mind all the time. Fuck, scrolling through the internet, time suck. I've been feeling flat like a pancake. I could use a hug or a handshake. I could use some drugs or a band-aid. Cooped up in a hole, I wanna lose all my control. I wanna just go on a rampage. Give me wisdom, give me teeth. Give me vision, let me see. Give me courage to confess. Every night I text my ex. Give me girls, give me boys. Give me life, give me peace, give me noise. Someone
give me fucking zen. Someone give me fucking zen. Give me fucking zen. I need something to avoid all of my fears and paranoia. Someone give me fucking zen. Yeah. Give me an appetite, give me hope for the afterlife, or a reason to look past tonight. Give me happiness when I found the fame. Give me music that doesn't all sound the same. Give me something that I could look forward to. Give me humans that I could get closer to. You look down at me, but the next thing you know, it's you with the rent overdue. Give me a little bit of piece of your peace of mind. Give me a piece of yours, you'll get the peace of mind. Give me something to do when there's nothing to do, but when I get it, shit'll probably just fuck it up too. Give me 2 steps to the left. Give me 1 step to the right. Give me 1 dance with the volume at 10. And someone, anyone, give me fucking zen. Someone give me fucking zen. fucking zen. I need something to avoid all of my fears and paranoia. Give me someone, give me hope for something better. Give me justice for my cries. Tell me we're all in this together, and if we're not, then tell me lies. Give me love, give me Wi-Fi, give me drugs, give me sky high, give me headspace. Set my head straight, cut the dead weight, burn the red tape. Give me the good old days from 7 days ago. Let me go